Hello, the internet. Hello. Hello. I'm going to give it a second. I assume there's always an ad that kicks everyone kicked off here. And Lord knows I've been having, at least with like work videos, the ads driving me crazy on YouTube Live. It's like, why even do YouTube Lives anymore? Because apparently it does this thing, at least it does in my work one. I don't know if it does in this one, where you're doing live video and it like smushes your video in half or like lowers it or something. And then you can't like hear the person. You can only hear the ad. So like basically you have to like just keep rewinding every time you watch something to go backwards, to be able to actually like hear the live stream and stuff. And it's just so frustrating. Also, I just kicked over my trash because that's the kind of day I'm having. Hold on. I gotta pick this up. Sorry. This makes for real interesting YouTube. I'll pick it up after. It's not like I was having a bad day. It was just one of those where I thought, I went to go. So on Mondays, this is ideally how I do on Mondays. I wake up. Lately, I think I told you guys in the last live stream, I've been trying to do like runs or walks every day, and I've been trying to start to do them in the morning because I don't know why I like to torture myself, but also I feel like I'm more guaranteed to be able to do it in the morning, whereas at night, sometimes I get home and it's a little bit too late or the weather or something. So it's kind of like if I go first thing in the morning, then I'm okay. Like I have a guarantee that I'm going to be able to do it, but I have to also, I found that the time, because usually I'm doing like a run or a walk for like 35 to 45 minutes, and I found that my threshold for a vomit, or for where like it's too hot and relenting, is around 10:45 a.m. I kind of have to be done by then, and that's like the wall. Like that's the end of it. Like that's like I need to go like right now. So trying to make sure that you're out the door. So I try to get up, I do that, and then, but on Mondays, I have a standing like therapy session at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m.-ish usually, and so I do that, and then we have a work meeting every Monday at 11, so then I do that, and then after that, I do prep for all day for my work for Tuesday, and I usually use Monday as like prep for our live Tuesday show that we do at work, and then I also will do some like other sort of I don't know, like I don't know what you call it. I don't want to call it maintenance, but there are things that like our studio at work is not done yet, so or it is. I feel like Walt Disney. It'll always be a work in progress, but it really is like. So I'm just trying to find the like perfect version of everything. I mean, nothing will ever be perfect. There'll always be a better version, but. So there was like some things that are kind of a little more up in arms, and I'd like to, it's sort of one of those things where you're like, I'd like to get it into a spot where I don't feel like I need to constantly be tinkering on something every day. Like it feels like I want it to be something where it comes in, we sit down, everything's good. I don't have to worry about things breaking, and like I have spots to record different shows and things like that. And so today I went to do some of that, and it was really just like a really long, critical thinking session for myself. So it was a lot of like mapping out mentally some things I had to do, and some things didn't really work out exactly the way I wanted, and those suck. And then also I was like, I have equipment I needed to test in order to be like, do I have to return this yet? Some of it worked, some of it didn't, and so there was like a little bit of that, and my wrist is still messed up. So it's also trying to do it one-handed is challenging, and I can get a little down on myself because of that. So I try not to. I try to think about people that have it much worse, than I do, or limited in other ways. And so I just try to I try to get creative about it. Like, okay, I don't want to make myself worse. And even though my right hand isn't really working, right now it's like, and yes, I am going to go back to the doctor. I know I have to sooner than later. It's tough. I've been having this feeling lately. It's just, but anyway, I feel like when I left, I was like, okay, it's not exactly where I want it, but I was like, I'm on my way to being like, I feel like there's something here where I have it. And I know tomorrow someone's going to make a sassy comment and I'm going to get upset about it. I've known, I will, to speak candidly about my last live stream here, I know I did, I spoke about my father passing away and how I was dealing with that. And, the ebb and flowing of sadness. I did describe it once as what, to me, it sort of feels like you're sitting on the shore of a beach, and the water's going to come, and sometimes it just kind of comes in or it's there. And then other times it washes all around you. And then other times it's a tidal wave that it feels like it's going to drag you in if you don't put your hands down in the sand. But every wave is completely different. But it's also one of those things, the reality of being like, you're on this beach forever now, sort of a thing. And I've been finding, today was, I don't want to be like, today was fine, because it wasn't like I sit and thought about it. I do sit and think about it. Like, I was testing out a projector and I went to my work YouTube channel and I played a video. In the video I mentioned something about my dad in it, and then my brain has started being like, my dad's gone, and it's like, I don't want to be like, well, if I keep moving I'm okay, because it's not really about that. I told you all, I do, when I like to lean into it, because it does make me feel closer to him, or to that loss, to that sadness. That is like, I think I'm like tiptoeing into an anger phase of grief though, like just not like with other people or anything like that. I'm just really frustrated a lot, and maybe I am angry a little bit on things that I should be more forgiving of, but there's other things like I get angry about where people who are like, are you done talking about this yet? And I'm sure, and I know from the comments from the last video and comments I've seen before, there's been a lot of really kind people and people who have lost a lot of loved ones as well who have reached out, and whether it was recently or years ago or anything, and, relaying their experiences. It's just so frustrating because it's just sort of like people have this like injury or this wound and you're just expected to keep going on and thing. And it's like, well, now you're a part of another club that you didn't really ask to be a part of. And I wish we had more patience for people for that sort of thing. Not just for me selfishly now, but it is sort of that thing where I'm like, wow, we really don't honor grieving for people, we don't really give people that space as much as I feel like we could or should, or it's kind of like, well, the world keeps moving, so you got to keep moving. And it's like, it does. That is true, to a fact, but I don't know. It's just this sort of, that's in the phase where I am. So I get very, I get a little frustrated. I get a little testy, not with like people or whatever. I was for a hot second, because like regulating your emotions, my hair's insane, I need a haircut, can be difficult as well when you go through this thing, because it reminds me a lot of like when I've run a couple of half marathons and one marathon one time. It's awful, I don't recommend it. A half, that's more than enough. But this thing sort of happens when you run a half marathon, like that day or like during the marathon or after it, right afterwards, where like, I feel like for me, it's a lot of like brain chemistry is acting a little weird. You have adrenaline flowing through you in a way that you normally don't. You have so like everything's a little out of whack. Like you might cry a little bit easier, or you might not, or it's just like, the machine kind of went crazy for a second, and now it's like recalibrating. And that, I guess that's what it is. It's like recalibrating. And you're like, it's a thing. It's an interesting thing. But I don't want to be like, oh, I wasn't sad today. I did have a little moment, but I finished watching Ace Ventura this weekend, because I watched about half of it. That was like my dad's like favorite movie, and I haven't really watched it in years, and I realize, and it's a thing where there is some transphobia and homophobia and a little bit. And although I do think the homophobic part is supposed to be like a joke, but it still is one of those movies where I watch Jim Carrey and I'm just like fascinated by how this movie was made and got made and stuff. But also like, man, my father loved this movie, and there is like a joke in every 2 seconds, and I'm just like, his whole personality was this movie. And you know, I mean, I always say the thing he would always say to us when whenever I was at his house, you know, before he left, he'd always be like, "Give Dr. Evil a hug." You know, that was also one of his things. So he loved to lock on to these kind of like cheesy comedies that I like, but it was hard. I couldn't watch the whole thing on his birthday because it was kind of like I started watching this other movie, The Way Back. If you haven't seen it, it's streaming right now on Hulu. I saw it in the movie theaters. I've owned it since the day it came out because it was filmed in the town my dad lived in, and I got about halfway through that and I found it was difficult for me to continue to watch that, being in those places again too. So there's a couple of things where you're just like, I need to move myself out of it for a hot second, you know? And it's interesting. I mean, I'm glad I finished it. So I finished that this weekend, and I have been trying to teach myself how to use 35 millimeter film. You know, I've got a record player. I have a Super 8 camera with a couple of Super 8 film cartridges that I am positive have expired by now. I thought they were on the shelf behind me. They were newer. I don't think they're down there anymore. But what was I gonna say? I'm in this thing where you know, I got Kim the typewriter for her birthday, and I ended up getting myself one because when I was at her house playing with it a lot, it was like, oh, this is really kind of I don't want to say cathartic, but there is, maybe that is the word, but it's like part of that thing. But it does this, like, I've heard this, that the similar sensation can happen to people when they use the keyboard with like the upraised keys that does the click, 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 click. I forget the word for it, but it like sort of does something to your brain. It's not ASMR, but I think it scratches that same itch for some people. But yeah, the film thing is where I started. So literally every day I try and make like a little note for myself where I'll watch like a different YouTube video about it, because I'm just so worried about messing it up. And I've got to really figure about the best way to develop the film and stuff like that. But I got myself a film roll that is an 800. So the number, which I didn't know this, I honestly didn't know this until a couple weeks ago. When you get film, it'll say like Kodak 200 or Fujifilm 200, Fujifilm 400, whatever. Those are the ISO. It's like the sensitivity, and a higher sensitivity is you know, the higher the number, the more light, like sensitive is to light. So basically, the better the film does, the darker it is. And if you don't know this, one of my hobbies is I love to take a camera out to like Hollywood studios with friends with like lightsabers and stuff like that and get really fun. I always call it like, let me take your movie poster photo. And I really do have a like a love of these sort of very, I don't know if it's like 80s or Japanese, like some sort of like neo-pop sort of a thing, where it's just like, I love sort of a grainy nighttime photo that has like neon running through it. And so I was like, you know, I want to do it on film because I want to be able to like blow it up really well. But also I really, like, I started learning digital editing, and I learned how to edit on a linear editing system on VHS tapes, which is crazy. And then, but like before I graduated, I was already learning on a computer how to edit with like the original Premiere and Final Cut back then too. And so like when I was learning about film, a lot of the stuff I've learned about film, and also my degree in film isn't on it's on theory. It's not a film theory degree. It is a my God, what is my film degree? I don't know why I am having a brain fart. Like, my thing is on the wall downstairs, and I just, for the life of me, I'm like, it is a film degree, but it's not like, I wasn't trained about film, the celluloid. I was trained about film as in like My education is in sweet Jesus, this is going to bug the shit out of me. It was either it would be the equivalent of a BFA or a BA, and I have a BA. I would have loved to have done a BFA, and that was much more technical in production. But I was trained in the independent film model, not a studio model, and I am educated in storytelling, if you can believe that, with the speech I'm giving right now. But with the I did take film theory classes. I took film criticism classes. I took editing classes. I took production classes. I took directing classes. I took all this stuff, but it's much more of like everything, as opposed to being like, here's how a camera works inside and out. So this is the new thing that I'm learning right now, is like really about film, the actual like celluloid thing. Like I have a very base understanding of it from school, obviously, but again, we were using digital, so it wasn't really about that. And I'm finding it's really interesting. I'm asking myself every day sometimes, why am I doing this to myself? But I kind of look at other photos that I've been seeing, because now I'm following people in these photos they post. And I know Trey, I see you in the chat talking about it. And Trey has some great photos he's taken that I'm like, this looks fun. I want to do this. And I love Halloween Horror Nights, and that's coming up. And that is a place where I would love to try and be able to do some cool film photos there. So I'm headed toward that, because I also would like to use those Super 8 cartridges I have. I think I have like 3, maybe 4, because I would love to shoot something on film. Now, there's a couple of things where I feel like it's this hard balancing act, because people would be like, well, you're a professional, and I hate using the word professional, because I just have imposter syndrome out the butt. Yes, I do something related to like production in my job, but I would never cozy up next to a professional photographer and call myself a professional. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I obviously I do have a film degree, but I sometimes feel very like self-taught in many ways. And so I feel very self-conscious, and, but I love learning, and this is something that I think is really cool. And I think what's really cool about film is that even with everywhere that we're at with digital technology, and like the camera I'm doing this on is actually like a pretty nicer camera, like a prosumer camera, I would say. And but there's something they still say that film can still differentiate, can still like absorb the information from like shadows, or still has a better dynamic range in many ways, which refers to like the color and the light and the dark. And it's interesting to learn about that. And I guess I'm trying to be an expert when it's like, girl, just get out there and shoot that point that camera and shoot a little bit. But I need a light meter. I think that's my next like investment. And the problem is, like, I see the one I want, but it's like $100, and I'm like, I cannot just all of a sudden pop $100 onto a light meter, and the film is obviously not inexpensive. I will say, which is crazy, Amazon actually has rolls of film on it still, not like the most amount ever, but like that low light film roll I got for like $17. The lower the light, the higher the number on the film, like 800, 1000, the more expensive the film gets. But there's a lot of things that I learn about that I'm learning about from photography, like from 35 millimeter film specifically, that is not a variable for filmmaker, for somebody who is shooting video. And it's really interesting because it's like variables in different ways. So like a film really plants you, like your ISO is stuck. So the ISO is, like I said, is like how much light, it basically is like how wide open can the camera be for how long, whatever, it's a whole thing. But it's interesting, in my camera I can just change the ISO. But like in a film camera, you can't do that. like that the whole roll is that thing, you know. And so it's not like you can just be like, oh, the next picture has a higher ISO or a lower ISO. Like you can change it and it'll expose the film differently, or expose the light to the film differently, but it also can like kind of F up the picture, you know. So it's just really fascinating because I'm learning about this like triangle and about like aperture versus shutter speed versus ISO. And I'm sure this is a really boring conversation for a lot of people, but it's basically, this is what I do to myself every night before I go to bed. And then also I'm watching Smallville again. I randomly decided to start that. I needed a break from Law & Order for a hot second because the murdering that was happening in the first couple minutes of every episode was kind of putting me in a weird headspace. I will return to it because obviously I love Law & Order. But I needed something a little more optimistic and comforting. And I just really enjoyed that Superman movie so much. And I am on like episode 10 of Smallville right now. I own the whole series. It's like up there. You can't see it. But actually, you can't see it anyways because I have all these Funko Pops. But it's all right here. I have all the Superman stuff. But I needed something more optimistic. And my God, there is nothing like an early 2000s WB TV show. Like I have to do Buffy after this again because it is both like the pilot episode for Smallville is so good, but there was like just these couple of lines where I was like, yep, this is a WB show, but it's like really good still. And some of the effects on that show are still really good for a TV show all these years later, just the way they do it. But it's just really, really, it's been, I don't know that I'll make it all through all 10 seasons, but I'll watch like a little episode a night. So I learn a little bit about film, and then I watch a little bit of Smallville, and then I dream about how I'm gonna shoot something on film. Because ultimately, what I find really rewarding about the 35 millimeter film sort of education that I'm trying to do is that I'm learning a lot about YouTube and websites and things like that. And there are so many people and things that just want to show you a thing, but they don't really get into the how and why of it. They just tell you. They don't, you know what I mean? It's interesting that there will be these people and these videos will have like thousands of videos, thousands of views, and it'll be like, all I want is a video that tells me how to shoot, the different ways to shoot. I found one finally, and it was really good. And it doesn't even have all the information in it, but I thought this guy did a really good job presenting the information, and he had like a breakdown on the screen and everything. But I was like, I just need a video that's like, here's how you use a 35 millimeter camera to take nighttime photography with like neon or all these lights and stuff like that. And that's where I'm like, okay, great. Like that's what I need. But most people are just like, I bought this camera, now let's see what it looks like. And it's a lot of very, like, I think the algorithm is just destroying all of us, myself included. So I'm not trying to be all up on a high horse here. But Jesus, people are just rewarded for being like, oh my God, did you see this thing? It's called tissue paper. It's crazy. They used to put it in little boxes and you blow your nose with it. But you have to like blow your nose. And if I find that if I go like this, it's better. And it's like, are we just completely stupid now? And I really apologize if that is anybody's shtick out there is that thing. But there is a lot of that. And it's like, makes me so sad because it is kind of like, I don't know. There's no critical thinking about stuff anymore, and it drives me insane. And now I'm old man yelling at a cloud again. But okay, I do want to talk about this chat a little bit. I was just trying to say there's like, I find that getting a new hobby that you've interested in can be rewarding. So I will tell you this. I'm trying to shoot film. I have it right here. My mother had given me her camera. She had a film camera, and a couple like Christmases ago while I was home, she just randomly like got it out of the attic. I think she wanted to get rid of stuff and basically was like, I have this film camera. Do you think you'd do anything with it? And I remember being like, what am I going to do with a film camera? Like, you know, and I finally was like, well, I'm going to open this. So I got some of these Fujifilm 200. I wish I'd gotten 400 because 400 is both good daylight and nighttime stuff. There were 2 rolls in here that expired. Did they say when they expired? Well, there's a date on this and it says February 2006. I'm going to go ahead and say they've expired, but I'm still interested in shooting on those to develop them. Also, there was some film in the camera and I took the last couple of pictures, and this is going to be an insane thing to say, but if there's a naked person on this, am I going to get in trouble if I send this away at like CVS to get developed? Like, I don't think there's going to be a naked person on it, but I also have like a point and shoot camera that I have over here that it was definitely like mine in like late, let's just say like post high school, right in there. I'm definitely in this like sweet spot, and I am like, do I have inappropriate pictures? Was this the close friends list before the close friends list? Also, guess who can't answer Instagram messages for 3 days? This guy, because of this stupid AI baloney thing. There was a picture with me with my shirt off that it flagged as sexually explicit, that I was trying to like solicit sex or something like that. And I was like, okay, first of all, no. And second of all, I don't know. I just feel like some days I'm like, sorry, let me go put my turtleneck and Quaker outfit back on and get my oats. So I have this. This is the one I'm going to do for Halloween Horror Nights. This is an 800, an amber 800 color negative. Anyway, so the end of that story is I can't send messages for 3 days, and I no longer am allowed to monetize my Instagram until like the beginning of November. So I appealed that because I was like, this is messed up. I am not like naked in this at all. So I have no idea what the problem was. But I also, they don't really show you the post very well. So Canon, it's a Canon. I, for work, use a Sony a7S III. I've used a Sony a7S II. I've used Sony video cameras. I've had many a different Sony video camera. So this, using a Canon is different and difficult. Not difficult. That's one of the challenges I face, is using this. But also a Sony, the great thing about like Rebels, which I find is the Canon camera that is so accessible for everybody to start in, whether it's a digital camera or a film camera, is it's like the, oh no, this lens has a crack in it. I hope it's just the casing. It's just on the plastic here. Anyway, I have a my God, my ADHD is out of control right now. These can sometimes be oversimplified. So it's about me really trying to be like, okay, how do I shoot completely in manual with this? And then like, there's no way to turn the flash off on these. So basically you have to, if you're like going to take a picture, it's like, also I'm so used to being able to see, you're supposed to like press it down and then close it and then do the flash. And that's supposed to stop it from doing it. But yeah, I've got 14 photos left of a 36 exposure. So I'm on my way. And like, that's the hard part with film, is I sometimes am a very instant gratification person. So I'm like, I got to send these away and make sure I didn't F up this whole roll so that I can say, okay, I've got like a grasp on this. And also like, it's really disciplined because you have to kind of really be like, what was I doing? Because this was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Like, I don't remember the settings on this photo now. Stuff like that. Anyway, I'm just trying to better myself, but I'm learning a lot. And for anybody who's ever been like a photographer and somebody's been like, well, you can do video, it's the same thing, it's just 24 frames a second instead of 1 frame. It's not true. 2 different things. And now I really have an appreciation. I mean, I've always had an appreciation for anybody, but it's like that thing is just like, so I'm hoping that's rewarding. Next, mixtapes. I saw a mixtape, this thing, on Amazon that you can, it's basically like a Walkman, but you can feed in music into it, so you can still do a mixtape of it, and I'm curious about that. However, okay, what I was going to say is the only lens I have for this is the one that it came with, because my mom wouldn't have known anything better, which is the kit lens is a 35 to an 80, I think. And it's like an f4 to an f6. So like really the 35 at the f4 isn't like terrible, but on Amazon there is a 50 millimeter lens that is a 1.8. And if you know the number I'm saying, like the f 1.8, it refers to how wide open the lens can get to let light in. So oftentimes like people will use those sort of cameras to get that really like blurry background effect, and they're better for lower light. So there is a 35 millimeter. I'm thinking about the 35 millimeter because it's like $100 and it's an f.8. But again, that would be $100 for that, $100 for light meter. And I'm like, girl, you are bleeding money right now because I decided that, shopping or buying random gifts for random people was the way to cope with grief, which I don't regret. So every now and then I'll be like, oh, this person needs this t-shirt. I'm going to buy this person this t-shirt. I'm going to buy this person a gift. Or I'm going to buy this gift. Because it treats my brain right. I guess like playing Santa Claus in the summer is the thing I like to do. And so I've been like, you need to pump the brakes a little bit. But hopefully these come out. Hopefully they're good. I'd love to share them. A mount adapter for the camera might be a good idea. It's just these lenses the lens on this camera and this camera itself is so much lighter than my Sony a7S III. I'm kind of dreading doing Mickey's Not So Scary on Friday because I know I have to bring like 2 lenses and the camera, and my right hand's all messed up, and I'm going to need a tripod. I don't know how I'm going to carry it, and it's going to be hot, and it's going to rain, and I'm just really, my heart is just not in the right place for a lot of stuff lately, and I'm just like, so I'm feeling like that bag floating in the wind in American Beauty. Now I'm gonna go back here. I saw that my friend Vic posted a question in this chat. It's a very important question. He said, "What is your favorite episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer?" And I would say all of them. No, I am very partial to. I love the finale of season 5. I like the body quite a bit. It is a devastating episode, and I'm afraid to watch it right now. And I love the musical Once More with Feeling. I love the episode where Jenny Calendar dies in season 2. Spoiler alert. I love the finale of season 6, even though season 6 is one of my least favorite seasons. Might be my least favorite season. I've got some favorites. I'm a big Angel. I started watching Angel before Buffy, and then I went backwards. And always loved Angel. But yeah, I think it's time for a rewatch of some of that stuff. I'm in that like getting into that spooky mode. But you know what I realized about Smallville? Going back to that, and also I've been watching King of the Hill. If anyone's watching that King of the Hill reboot on Hulu, it's fantastic. Sorry, I hiccuped. It's very good. Like, it's kind of emotional, and I don't mean like, oh, sappy. It's just about, Bobby was a kid in the original, and Hank was working, and now Hank's retired, and Bobby's like 21 or 22, and it is very, it's about these two people. I don't know. It's also probably very sensitive to the father-son thing right now. It's just they're in 2 different phases of their life and trying to figure that out, and I think it's doing such a really good job. And it's also kind of like, oh, there's this like boomer and then this younger kid, but this younger kid doesn't necessarily fit in, and it's great. Hush is the episode, Jay. That is a great episode. Emmy-nominated episode. The one where no one can talk. Season 4. Also a great episode in season 4. I like season 4, episode 1. I think that's the episode Pedro Pascal was in, because Buffy was not doing well at school. She wasn't going into her college very well, and at that time when I was going to college, that was my like comfort episode to watch, where I was like, Buffy's having a hard time too. I wasn't in college when that episode came out. It was just I owned the DVDs at that point. I was like watching it. But they're doing a Buffy reboot too. They've been casting like crazy for that show, and I have this fear though that it's aiming like way too young, because everybody they've named in the cast is very young, and I'm worried because I'm like the majority of more of the show was after high school than in high school, and there's definitely been a switch where people try to say it's more authentic by having people that are the actual age play the ages. And I'm still one of those people where I'm like, no, I think I'd still like an 18 or 20 something to play the younger kids, especially when they're in more mature situations, because it already feels weird that we're writing these stories about young people and they're getting like into these situations. The older I'm getting, the more I'm like, what were we doing? What was going on at the CW? But yeah, that's what I've been watching. King of the Hill for my comedy, Smallville for my dramedy. But Smallville is definitely scratching the itch of like a goosebump show. I feel like watching it in the fall is great because season 1, I forgot. I mean, I could tell you, but it was like, it's like meteor rocks, always meteor rocks. And it's like monster of the week. And some of it's very like campy, but also like a little, it's like that sweet spot of spooky, and I love it. I love like these I love sort of the over the topness of like the very literal transformations that these people go through, like the episode with Amy Adams where she's like trying to lose all this weight, and so you're like, oh, okay, it's a high school episode about bulimia or anorexia, but it's like becomes very literal because then she's starving so much she can't satisfy her hunger, and she's not a bad guy in that episode either. She's not a bad person. And then, there's other episodes where like the hot-headed football coach and he gets the power of like fire. And you're like, oh, because he's angry all the time. There's some of those where you're like, wow, this is very literal. But it's still pretty great. Yeah, and I did see the about the Chase Sue Wonders being in the new Buffy reboot. I'm very much, I want that to succeed. I need that in my life. I love Buffy, and I would love to see a new take on such an iconic property, with obviously the one and only Sarah Michelle Gellar in there. God help them if they kill her off. God help them. There will be a riot. I saw Weapons. Okay, this movie is crazy. A couple of so I saw it with 3 other people, and they were kind of like, oh, it was a little slow. I didn't think it was slow at all. I thought it was great. I like the score. Although when it gets to this like turning point of the movie, I didn't think it was slow while I was watching it, but I did think on rewatching it, it's going to be, the rewatchability isn't there as much because once you know what's going on, that part I was kind of like, it's more of a hindsight where I'm like, that a little bit of that could have been trimmed out of the beginning and stuff, but it added like, it was a really fun horror movie to watch, and it wasn't like the scariest thing I've ever seen. It was like the sweet spot of where it like had horror, but it was also like, yeah, this thing that's happening is so ridiculous, like you can laugh at it, and it wasn't just horror. It was kind of, I feel like there needs to be another word where you're like, it's not horror, it's just weird, and there's like 1 or 2 little jump out things, but it's very good. I highly recommend it. I really, really enjoyed it. But it's Corey, I see what you're saying about it dragging a little bit in the first and second act. Yeah. And that's why when I walked out, I was like, okay, if I rewatch this again, which I probably will, I don't want to say I wouldn't. I was like, that's going to really make those first parts kind of drag a little bit more. So this is the same guy who made Barbarian, which if you haven't watched that movie is crazy. And that movie is definitely way more of a horror movie than this movie, I think. I mean, that movie is a horror movie. And there is some like very grotesque parts in this movie, but I'm not like, oh, this is like a movie like, oh, if you're only kind of like horror, I think you could still watch it. Barbarian though, that movie was like going, and there's this moment in it where like the movie starts and it kind of like restarts, and I was just like, what is happening? And I thought that's really, I definitely recommend watching that, and this one too. I think Barbarian was really good. I got a ticket to see, I don't know if you have all have heard, but they are re-releasing Batman and Batman Returns in, or not re-releasing it, I should say, they're releasing it in Dolby for the first time ever. So it's gotten the, like, Dolby Atmos, like the makeover to it, like remixed and stuff. And so I'm pretty excited. My problem with that re-release is it's for one day only, so you have to do it as a double feature. But you buy it as 2 separate tickets. So like there's only one showing of Batman Returns, which is really the one I want to watch more, because Catwoman, hello. But it's at like 10 p.m. And I'm like, okay, with the previews and like this movie, I'm like, it's not going to get over like 1, and it's like a Monday night, which I'm glad it's a Monday night so I don't have to give up like Halloween Horror Nights. Although I think it's August 25th, so it's actually that week of Halloween Horror Nights. But I was just kind of like, I guess I'll just do Batman. But if I had been able to see Batman Returns, then I could have said I've seen all Batman movies in the movie theater. I thought that would have been cool. But I am excited. I'm definitely going to see, I have my ticket for Batman, first one. It's funny, it's weird. It's not like I have strong memories with this or anything like that, but I kind of associate my dad with the soundtrack, because I think my dad, when I was a kid, my dad had this like suitcase almost looking thing, and it had all of his cassette tapes like in it, very organized. And I remember he had the Batman soundtrack, and I'd be like, put it on, and then I'd listen and I'd be like, I don't like this music. But now I'm an adult, I'm like, it's Prince, what was wrong with me? So I'm pretty excited to that. I did see that they're doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think, but I forgot to look at that when I got out of the theater. I have to double check that. I also want to do Casper, but Casper is on like a Halloween Horror Nights night, like a Friday night, and it's like 2 showings. It's like 4 and 7, and I was like, ah. So hopefully that stays in the theater for like a couple of days, not just that one night. Because I would really like to see Casper in the movie theater again. I haven't seen Casper in years. Maybe not in my adult life, but I did see it in the theater when I was a kid. I used to watch the VHS all the time, and so I'm like, I love that movie. So I would love to have that experience again. I'm all about these sort of little like comfort things right now that are going around. I know they're re-releasing Toy Story as well, but I don't know. I feel like with like a Disney movie like that, like Toy Story's been in the movie theater recently, didn't they do? And then sometimes they'll do it as like the $5 movie. So I'm like, I don't really feel the pressure with being like, ooh, it's kind of like, yeah. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through the chat now at this before I close up for the night, just because I said it was going to be short. I'm to do some more work for tomorrow. Get myself together. Oh, jeez. Okay, sorry. Kim is sending me a long message. I need to look at that in a second. I'm excited. Kim's saying she's coming for Halloween Horror Nights. That'll be a first one of those. Is Weapons the Derry It prequel? No. Weapons is, no, I already said. But I am looking forward to that. I think the prequel show is called Welcome to Derry. And that looks spooky, and I want to see that. Although It Part 2, Chapter 2, I don't remember, Chapter 2, was one of the worst movies ever. It Chapter 1, one of the best horror movies. It's just like, how do you fall so far from grace? Keith, I'm going to check out that Cure album I see that you posted in here. Thank you for that. Sorry, just scrolling back really quick. I know I have, I also cannot let myself forget that the week that Halloween Horror Nights starts, I have a ticket to see a Goofy movie in the movie theater. And they're doing it on like the 28th or something like that. And I cannot let myself miss that. And I have a bad feeling I'm going to end up missing that, but I have a ton of work to do that week. And I'm not going to that D23 event, I don't think. Well, I'm going to Halloween Horror Nights, so I already know I'm not going to that. I see your comment about the angel's son. Oh my God, what was his son's name? Oh, that's gonna bug me. But about him being like Scrappy Doo. Okay, I am sorry. I cannot scroll back much longer because otherwise it's just going to be silently staring with my mouth open. I have not watched Freaky Friday yet because I have not watched Freaky Friday yet. But I feel like I've got to watch that because I do like me some Jamie Lee Curtis. And I'd like to you know what I also want to see just because it's a movie my dad would have loved is Naked Gun. I've heard that's really good. I don't know that it would normally be my type of movie, but I want to support like that type of, I want to support those comedies, and stuff. We need more comedies. We need more fun, optimistic, whatever things. So, oh, okay. Lazy Green Turtle, I see you going to Halloween Horror Nights for the first time this year. I'll tell you the best photo spots. I'll share them as soon as I can get them. So that's the thing. It's always set up very different every year. So, and I hear there's some like changes with stuff this year, so I won't know until after the first weekend, but I promise to share some of those tips and tricks. Strange Harvest. I'll have to check that out, Corey. Thank you for that. And yeah. Nightmare. Oh, an Alamo Draft House. Oh my God, I'm so jealous. Every time I go visit my friend CJ in Texas, it doesn't matter how long I'm there for. I'm like, let's go see a movie at Alamo Draft House. It doesn't even, I just love being in there. I love being able to order the food. I love being, because last time I went, I finally had an experience where somebody like would not stop talking. It was like a family, and I felt kind of bad at first, but then they were just being very like, and then one picked up the phone, so I was like, you like write it on a note, and then they go. And I think what it is they have somebody come in and they have to like watch and wait to witness it, and then when they witness it, they're like, excuse me, we've had some complaints. So that you're not, because I was like, oh my God, they're going to walk over to them right after they get the note. I was like so stressed out about it. But sometimes people just need to be reminded of their environment. I try to keep an open mind of that. Like they get lost in the moment or something, and it's, it's part of it. So, I did get a season pass to Halloween Horror Nights. I got a frequent fear pass that includes Fridays. I can pretty much go anytime except for a Saturday. Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to that this year. I just desperately need it this year. Desperately need it. I see you in here, Tori, saying it's been a hot minute since you joined. Well, this is only like the second one in like 3 months. But yeah. Tron Ares. I do want to see Tron. I'm very excited for Tron. I am not excited for Jared Leto in Tron. And I am also hoping that Jeff Bridges is in it, so it's still like, it is continuing the idea of like the programs coming out, but I'm also like, are they going to mention what happened to Sam and Cora or what? Because I do like Tron Legacy, and I am very much looking forward to seeing that in a, like, I want to go like IMAX for that one, I think. I wish I'd seen Superman in IMAX. I guess I still could. I think it's still in there. Something else might be in there now, but, oh, Kevin's going to Halloween Horror Nights in Japan. I don't know. I've never been to the Japan one. I am really curious to see how that goes. I bet it's going to be incredible, though. I'm really, really interested to see that. Yeah, I'd be really fascinated. I think, like, that part gets real scary at Halloween. All right, gang, I'm sorry I wasn't as interactive with the chat. Oh, I got a thumbs down right at the end there. See, I should have cut out earlier. But I do appreciate all of you coming to hang out for a little bit. And I have a lot of work to do in terms of, like, I got to watch these movies for Halloween Horror Nights. I've got to get myself prepped for that Halloween season. So excited for that. So excited to continue on this, like, film journey that hopefully leads into video. Film video or filming. I don't know. Photography would be film photography, or I should say film. That's weird. Do you know they make an 8mm, a Super 8 camera? Kodak made one last year. Like, they made a new one, and it is both uses film and digital. And I really want this camera, but I just told you guys about how I was second guessing to $100 lenses. The camera is $5,000. So I have to be real sure about what I'm going to do with that before I buy that, because that would be, other than my car, it would be the most expensive thing I ever bought. But I guess maybe there's always the chance of a secondhand unit or something like that. But yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. I do really appreciate all of you. I hope you have a great week. This was fun. Maybe we will be able to do this next week, I think. Let me just check my calendar real quick. Next week, not the week after, I don't think. So, we'll just stay tuned for that. And I'm trying to get better about kind of just whenever I'm feeling like I want to do one, just like popping in and doing it. I'm going to try and make sure we still keep the Monday thing going, but doing a little bit of other stuff, getting excited. I know I talked about that, but I'm hoping once I've reset a little bit more, it'll be more fun and engaging and less me just babbling and being the ridiculous Ryno that I am. So thank you everybody for your continued support. Thanks for all tuning in. I appreciate all of you. Go strong into that week. Enjoy yourselves. Bye everyone. Remember, I cannot respond to any Instagram messages for 3 days from right now.